Hey everybody, I'm Charis.
And I'm Kelsey, and welcome to Chill Pill, your friendly neighborhood podcast where we react to your weird college stories.
College is crazy, and sometimes things can get a little icy. But as we like to say, anecdotes are the antidote.
That means laughter is the best medicine.
So kick back and relax, and let's take a chill pill. Hey everybody, and welcome to episode 2 of Chill Pill. We're so glad you stayed for our second episode.
Yes.
Today is a special episode because we have a guest here with us in person, and this is Anna Taylor. Say hi, Anna.
Hey, y'all.
Today's topic is mishaps and mayhem, and all three of us here happen to have been present for the same little incident of mishap that we want to talk about. But before we get into that, let's start off with our favorite segment of the day. Professors say the darndest things.
I don't want you to go to hell for cheating on your Pentecostal doctrine tests.
One of my greatest fears is falling and breaking my neck in the classroom.
Oh, good. You all read emails. That's such a good quality to have.
The Sound of Music is the best musical. It has Nazis in it. And those Nazis are bad.
When I works hard. And when I sits, I sleeps. That's just how it is.
Some people like to bathe regularly, and that's cool.
It is cool.
I want to know why.
Why it's cool to bathe regularly?
Like, what prompted that?
I don't know. Okay. So last semester, all three of us here, me, Kelsey, Anna, we were all part of a show. We were part of SAGU Theater's production of It's a Wonderful Life. And it was a wonderful show. We all had lots of fun, but we wanted to give this story some special attention in our episode because our opening night was maybe not so wonderful, at least backstage. And there are some crazy things that happened. There was mishaps and mayhem that we wanted to share with you because it was quite spectacular. And Anna was our stage manager. So at the center of all the chaos, everything short of a literal fire, she was managing things, sprinting, running, doing all the things. She left the building for a little bit. It was crazy. Tell us what happened.
Yeah, no, it was an opening night to remember for sure. Not one like I've ever had, but it literally all started with a cake. One of our cast members, Cameron, had his birthday that day on opening night, which was pretty cool. So we wanted to surprise him with a cake. That basically just started like the whole thing. It was a lot. We had to get all of the cast into the dressing room, and it was a little bit like herding cats because getting like all of them into one room right before a show starts with pretty much no reason is a little bit difficult. So they get the cake in there, we sing happy birthday to him, and it goes off great. Well, as we're starting to cut the cake, I'm getting called out to the lobby because there's a situation happening out there. And so put out that fire, I'm coming back and I get about halfway to the dressing room.
Fire.
No, not literal fire. I think it was like something to do with tickets.
Birthday candle fire was blown out.
Yeah.
Nothing else was on fire this time.
No, thankfully. I think it was a ticket thing, but I got back and one of my crew members met me out there and she was like, someone is like freaking out. Like they're super nervous to do the show. You need to come. I get in there and I see like everyone kind of clustered around her and they're like praying over her. And I was like, oh, these must be like really bad nerves. Come to find out it's not nerves. She's not feeling good. And I'm like, okay, like not feeling good. Like what? And she's like, oh, I kind of think I might have food poisoning. I was like, that's not what you want to hear on opening night.
Nope.
At all from anybody, especially someone who's about to take the stage. So at that point, I'm like, I'm not sure she can do it. Like, she's not feeling good.
Mm-hmm.
So we started talking to other actresses and being like, so do you think you can maybe take this part? And we're trying to figure it all out. We found someone who was willing to do it and who knew the line. So we figured that out. So then I had to go out to the sound booth where Kelsey was with the rest of the tech crew. And so I'm talking to them and trying to explain to them what's going on backstage because like they were setting up so they didn't know. Then we're talking through, okay, well, if we do end up having a person pull out, what are we going to do about mics? Because something that we don't have a lot of here are mics. So we figured it all out and we're like, okay, like let's not tell our director yet because we don't want to worry her right before the show. She might be fine. She might not have any issues at all. And I went backstage and I told our person who was not feeling good what was kind of going on and how we'd figured out a plan. Then we realized that she really was not feeling good, so we needed to pull her out right then.
Mm-hmm.
So we pulled her out, and
that was like 5 minutes before the show that this decision was made, right?
I don't even know. I think we might have been
really
introducing the show at that point. It was even too late to tell our director what was going on.
Stage.
She was,
show.
exactly. So it was like, we're starting and we're having to make this decision like right now. So she went and got out her costume and she ended up going home, which ended up being a good decision. But
yeah,
it was. So I had to go then track down the person who we had found to take her place. And I'm like, okay, so you're going to do this now. She's just not looking good either. And I'm like, are you okay? And she's like, yeah, I'm fine. Like, I'm not feeling great either. And I was like, you're not? And she's like, no. And I was like, can you do this? And she was like, yeah, I can do this. Yeah, and I got this. Like, I'm not feeling good, but I'm going to do this. Like, this isn't going to stop me from performing. And I was like, the show must go on, I guess. It's like the curtain was going up and we're like, okay, we're doing this whether we're ready or not. Pretty much right off the bat, things started going wrong. We had people forgetting props. People were kind of coming in late at times. It was just a little bit chaotic to start with. We got to the scene where we had our actress switch out and it went really well. Like, the audience didn't notice. Like, she knew the lines. Like, it was perfect. But we do the scene. She comes off stage and we're kind of progressing along with the show. And I'm getting a call on the walkie-talkie from one of the crew members being like, hey, like, you need to come over to the other side of the stage. And I was like, okay. So I get over there and the actress who had just come off stage from doing that part, she's kind of sitting and she's like holding her like self kind of, and she's just like shivering nonstop. And I was like, oh boy, like she was not feeling good, like visibly not feeling good. So we were trying to figure out like what we can do.
I remember this though, because I think I was also backstage on the same side and she was looking really, really pale. And I was like, hey, like what's going on? She was like, I'm really cold. She was like shivering, like her teeth were like chattering. I could hear them clicking together. Like she was shivering. It was really weird.
Yeah. It's like she couldn't like regulate her body temperature or something like that. So it was crazy. So we ended up taking her backstage and I took her to the dressing room and we were trying to find some stuff that she could put on that would be a little bit warmer than just her costume, you know, from a dress from the 1940s. So I leave her back there with some blankets and stuff like that. And I don't even think I was backstage for 5 minutes before she's coming to find me. She's like, one of your crew members is in the bathroom throwing up. And I was like, what?
Yeah, I was in the sound booth and I had the walkie-talkie in my ear. And like that crew member was just like, Anna, we have a situation. I don't think you had your walkie-talkie on you.
No.
And I'm just like, all three of us in the sound booth are just like, what is going on?
No, it was bad. So I went and I was like talking to her through the door because I was like, because she was in the bathroom with the door locked. So I was like, how you doing? Like, are you okay? And she was like, yeah, I'm fine. I was like, okay. I was like, take your time. Like, I'll get some people to cover what you're doing. So she ended up staying in there until intermission. So I go backstage after like finding her in the bathroom and I'm like,
this is after taking care of not one, but two sick cast members. You have someone on the crew.
Yes, exactly.
We experienced the plague all in one night.
It was bad. No, so I go backstage. We're doing okay for a few minutes and I'm doing kind of like my walk around like I usually do, checking both sides of the stage to make sure like things are going okay. And I'm about halfway across to, I think it was stage right. And I see one of our guys who played Uncle Billy. He is frantically waving at me and he's got these two newspapers in his hands and I can tell immediately that he does not have enough. And he's like freaking out because his scene is next and he needs those papers. So I turned around and I'm like having to walk quickly but quietly because the sound, like the stage makes sound. And I like booked it all the way around and I'm like sprinting to get to him.
I remember seeing this because I was, okay. In this particular show, I was an old woman, and I also didn't have that many. Most of my scenes were very short, and they were in the first act. And so, well, I took a nap.
I wish. My stress level is too high for a nap.
Because I was curled up in a chair, I had a blanket. I was like, fat nap. Like, I was sleeping. And I remember hearing like noises, you know, like some kerfuffles I'm hearing. And I looked up and I just saw you full sprinting. I was like, oh, I guess something's on fire. And then I went back to sleep.
No, it definitely was because he was about to go on stage and like he needed those because that's the point in the show where Uncle Billy has to hide the money because at that point he loses the money and we needed enough newspapers to hide that envelope. And he only had two, which is going to hide absolutely nothing. So I'm like having to sprint to get the newspapers to him. And I like made it just before he walked on stage. I was dying. I had to sit down for a minute. I was like, just give me 1 minute, please. So it was a moment. But yeah, he did the scene and it was like that kind of ends act one. And we made managed to make it through intermission pretty much without a hitch. We had a few things with our concession stand, but they were minor compared to some of the other stuff that was happening. Yeah, so intermission was good because it was kind of a reset. Everyone was like, we were able to check in with each other and see how things were going.
Still survived the plague.
Yeah, exactly. Being like, how you feeling? Like, no one else is feeling sick, right? So at that point, no one else was. When I had left our actress in the dressing room, the one who had come to me about our crew member in the bathroom, when I left her there the second time, I ended up helping her like find a spot on the floor, and we like pulled out all of the coats from the closet, and she like laid down. So she was like literally for the entire intermission, she was on the floor under like these pile of like fake fur coats, and she's like resting, and I'm like, and she hadn't like moved the entire time. I was like, okay, she's like really not feeling good. So that was not good sign at all. But we made it through intermission, and I was like, okay, like we made it through the first act. Second act is shorter. Like we got this. We got no problem. Yeah, no, that was definitely not the case. It was all of our problems were like just starting at that point. So I don't even know exactly where we were in like the second part of the show when I think it was one of our crew members. She like radioed me, and she was like, Anna, we have like a situation in the dressing room. And I was like, okay. I go in there, and I see our actress who we left resting in there. I see her standing in the middle of the dressing room, and she had thrown up not once, but twice all over the dressing room. And I took one look at that, and I had to walk right back out the door because I am not a throw up person at all. Like, I cannot do that stuff. So I was like, I am so sorry, but I'm going to have to talk to you from outside the door. Because I was like, if I smell this, I am going to be joining you. So it was bad. So we're talking. I'm like, how you doing? Like, are you okay? And she's like, yeah, I feel much better. I was like, yeah, I think you probably do. So, and we're trying to figure out what to do. And like, we don't have cleaning supplies in these dressing rooms, like not to clean up something like that. I'm like trying to get a hold of sound crew. And I'm like, do y'all know where like our director is sitting? And they're like, no. I was like, oh dear. So, because we're trying to get a hold of her and be like, you have a key that opens the closet, but we couldn't find her because it's like dark in the auditorium and she wasn't sitting close to the sound booth. So I was like, okay, let's figure this out. Like, let's not stress her out. Like, it's okay. Like, we'll figure something out.
Well, you couldn't stress her out. You couldn't find her.
Yeah, exactly. It was crazy. So I got back to the dressing room and my crew member was gone. I was like, where did she go? And so she ends up coming back after a second with this like wad of paper towels. And I'm like, I don't think that's going to work. But she comes back and she's got tons of paper towels. And she's like, it's okay, Anna. She's like, I got you. She's like, I used to babysit this kid that threw up all the time. And like, I can do this. She's like, it's okay. Like, don't you worry. I was like, oh, thank you so much because I can't do this. So, but I was like, but you can't clean that with paper towels. Like, it's a mess. Like, there's no way with paper towels. Well, she gets on the phone with her roommate and she's like, yeah, you have those cleaning supplies, you know? Like, can I borrow them? And her roommate said yes. And so she hangs up and she starts walking towards the door. And I'm like, where are you going? She's like, I'm going to go back to Bridges to get the cleaning supply. Like, I'm like, and like,
walk back to Bridges?
Yes, walk back to Bridges.
That's like an 8-minute walk.
Exactly. Like, I mean, we're in the HCC, which is
in the middle of the show.
Yeah, exactly. And I was like, there's no way with the time that we had left in the show. And so I was like, I have the car. Like, I can drive you back to Bridges. So we start like sprinting down the hallway by the dressing rooms. And the whole time I'm radioing the sound crew and I'm letting them know, y'all, I'm going to be out of range for a little while. You're going to have to figure out your own problems if they come up because I'm not going to be here. No.
The whole time you were gone, people kept like walking past me being like, I can't find Anna. Where is she? I need such and such. Like there was like 4 different people. It's like immediately.
So funny. I didn't know that. That's hilarious.
It was, we were like, where is she? We're going to die. We can't survive without her. She's gone.
Oh, that's funny. No, I was like, there was literally nothing else that we could do because I was like, she can't make it there and back in time. I was like, okay, I'm going to drive her back. Like we'll make it in time. But I was like, okay, crew, y'all are on your own. This is what you trained for.
This is what you've trained
for.
This specifically, the plague. You've trained for the plague.
No, it was insane. So we like We like run out the door. We like shoved a rock in the door so it wouldn't close on us. So that way we could get back in. I probably drove a little too fast for this campus, but that's okay. Like there was no one driving on at the time. But we made it back to Bridges. She ran like I think it was 4 flights of stairs possibly to the 4th floor. Maybe it was 3rd floor. But like she booked it up those stairs and she was gone for maybe 5 minutes total. She comes running back with the supplies. She's like, yeah, let's go. I got them. We made it back. We like go running back to the girls' dressing room with the cleaning supplies. And we like, it was like, you know, those cartoons where like the cartoon, like they're running and they like skid to a full stop. It was kind of like that when we saw, like we walked in the dressing room and we saw our actress and she's there in like not her costume anymore. And we're like, what happened? And so
wait, because had she done her scene yet?
Yeah, she had. So she had done her scene and then she came off and that's when she got sick and her costume was for the most part okay. Her shoes were not okay. So I'm then radioing the crew and being like, so where are we in the show exactly? Like, because at that point we didn't know. And so they're telling me what scene we're on. And I was like, okay, we're getting really close to the end. We don't have time to clean this up right now. So I'm like, leave the cleaning supplies. Let's go. Like, let's make it backstage. I am there for maybe 2 minutes and I get a call from one of our crew members and she was, no more. She was operating our follow spot. So she wasn't even like close by to us. She was above the audience basically. And she goes, Anna, there's kind of a situation up here, but don't worry, the equipment's fine.
Oh, no.
And I'm like, you threw up, didn't you? And she's like, yeah, I did. I was like, no. And I was like, no. And I was like, okay, we'll deal with that after the show. And it ended up being fine. Like, they did the curtain call and we made it on and we went out and got to greet
there
people.
Was something that happened before this.
There was?
With me. You were on the other side of the stage.
That's possible, yeah.
Where we had these big rolling flats, 8 feet tall. These things were huge and they were heavy. We had, I think it was the second to last scene, one of the wheels broke off.
I thought that happened, but I wasn't sure.
No, it did. It did. And I remember it because we needed, when the curtains closed, we needed to get these things off stage. And usually you just need 2 people, one on either side. But they needed an extra person to lift it up so that they could wheel it. And who do they ask but little Charis dressed up as an old woman. And so me in my old woman dress with my old woman face and my old woman hair. Do I know how to lift with my legs? No, I do not. Okay. And so I'm bent over, I'm like hunched over, I'm holding this thing and like pulling it up because it's so heavy and I'm shuffling backwards. I'm shuffling and shuffling and trying to pull this thing. And when I'm getting to the edge of the stage, there's like a wire that's taped down. And so I'm wearing my character shoes, which are just these plain black heels. And as I'm shuffling backwards, my right foot gets caught on this wire. And so it stops moving, but the rest of me keeps going. And so I shuffle right over and put the set right on top of my foot, and it just grates the top of my foot. Like,
oh my goodness.
I don't know if I knew that.
It hurt so bad. And I'm like, but like quietly. So like, but I have to keep going because it's not all the way up the stage. And so I'm like, so I like pull my foot out from underneath it and keep going. I'm like shuffling my back and screaming at me. And so we get it off the stage. I immediately go into a really fast mic transition with Cameron. And then I run back out on stage because I'm supposed to be, grandma coming back on stage. And so I hobble out there just like an old woman would. Because I had aged so much in the last 2 minutes.
I don't know if I knew that. I think I might have been gone at that point.
You weren't there.
Yeah, I was probably on my way to Bridges.
Literally everything that could go wrong did go wrong.
It was chaotic. It was an opening night to remember. It was crazy. And then we had more crew and cast members get sick after that.
Yeah, I was one of them.
I know.
Literally,
the plague.
It was
the plague.
I was like, Anna, just so you know, I'm not feeling good this morning.
And I was like, no, please no. I was like, we literally have no one to take your place.
I know.
No.
So I was like,
we didn't.
I'm sitting down the entire time, so I'm like, I'll be fine. Wait, I was like drinking Pepto, eating crackers, like doing everything I could to like help.
But what's great is that when the audience, like when they came out, we got like a standing ovation.
Yeah.
And then everyone said, this was fantastic. This was such a good show. And no one had any idea that anything had gone wrong.
Really funny. My parents came to all 3 of the shows, and they were like, "Yeah, the first night was like your best one."
Oh,
I was like, "That's the one that we had the most problems."
Oh, that's hilarious. Oh my goodness, no.
Crazy.
It was insane. It was one to remember for sure.
Yep.
Definitely mishaps and mayhem.
Uh-huh.
So let's move into our next little segment here. We have, I think, only 2 callers today because we wanted to give as much time to this story as possible. I think our first caller is Amanda. Let's see.
Hello, my name is Amanda Verkleir, and I'm a sophomore here at SAGU. So I have a story to tell you today. The other day, I was in the library on campus, and I was upstairs in the study rooms. I was looking for my SMA leaders as we were doing a meeting, and I realized that there were like a whole bunch of people right next to us that were just kind of, there. They're all sitting and standing super still. Like, if you've ever seen the mannequin challenge, they were all just completely frozen, and it was kind of ako taco, but, pretty funny, right?
That's really weird. Didn't you have something like that?
Yeah. Episode 1,
Yeah.
we were talking about the weird sports guy who just kind of was chilling in the lobby, like frozen and posed. I wonder if it was the same people. I kind of wonder if it's like a thing. Maybe it's I'm not on top of trends. Is this trend coming back? Is this a thing?
The mannequin challenge is coming back?
Maybe. I don't know. Let us know. Tell us, is this a thing now? Am I behind on the times? All right. We have a second caller today who is pretty cool. It's actually one of our professors here at SAGU, and he also is a SAGU alum. And he's going to tell us the story of how in 2011, there was this chemical plant called MagnaBlend that's pretty close to SAGU, and it exploded and crazy things happened. So we wanted him to send us a voice note or call in for us and tell us about it.
My name is Ben Fenton, and this is the story of MagnaBlend. October of 2011 was my first semester of college, and after checking mail and grabbing lunch in the den, I heard the clamor of students looking outside the side door of the den. Curious, I rush over to the door and I see what the commotion is about. I see a black mushroom cloud seemingly directly above the Schaefer Center building. This is audio from a video that was shot by a SAGU alum, DJ McKinley.
Oh my gosh. I'm in Waxahachie, Texas. And one of these main buildings over here caught on fire. It's all on the news. And I've never just seen so much smoke in the sky. I thought it was our building. I was about to freak out. I was like, it's Judgment Day. But it's not. It's just fire. Dang, it's 3 helicopters in the air. What they gonna do?
So very shortly after that video, a stench fills the air that is unbearable. Not to our surprise, classes for the rest of the day were canceled. The explosion, the resulting mass panic around Waxahachie sort of became a running joke. University students had created an apocalyptic MagnaBlend board game that mapped out the campus, leaving a combination of decisions and luck to decide which students would live. And even though the MagnaBlend building and the pillar of smoke were gone, the stench remained for years afterward.
Oh my goodness.
This is the most dramatic story I have ever heard. The helicopters in the background, like what?
What are they good? What are they gonna do?
What they gonna do? I don't know. Just go watch.
And then they made a board game? I thought that was funny.
That is, if college students are gonna do anything, if something explodes, it's gonna be making a board game. Who would survive? Roll your dice and find out. Well, I think that's it for this episode of Mishaps and Mayhem and the Plague and the Mushroom Clouds. There we go. It all started with cake.
That it did.
Anna, do you want to lead us off with the quote of the day?
Sure. Our quote of the day is, "That's the story of my life. Squirrel!"
There we go.
Well, that's it for this episode of Chill Pill.
Thanks for listening. And if you're wiping away any tears right now, I sure hope they're tears of joy.
And don't forget to subscribe to our podcast and spread the word.
Follow us on social media at chillpill_pod or use the links in the description to keep up with future episodes and behind-the-scenes content.
And don't forget to send in your own college stories for us to react to. We'd be frozen without you.